Another item that I use is dental picks, and these are various different sizes. And again, these are metal. It's not always good to use metal again with wood, but when I use these for special circumstances, and those are on a case-by-case basis. Other items that you'll use will be various sizes of dowel rods, and one of the things that you use dowel rods for is for the backing of sandpaper, because it does make the sandpaper more round, and it's best to use it with the cloth back sandpaper because it is more pliable. And then when you have it backed with a dowel rod, then you can get into more curved areas and more carved areas and recesses that you wouldn't be able to do as well otherwise. Another thing that I have handy and I use often is a dropper, and that's good for adding additional alcohol or additional dye or subtracting or just taking out little amounts, because a lot of times you are doing repairs that are very small and only a small amount of material may be needed, so a dropper becomes real handy for those type of applications. As far as safety equipment, I can always use masks, especially when dealing with like sawdust and sandpaper. There's a lot of particles that those are created, and you can use these type of masks for that. When you're dealing with chemicals and some of the other pigments and stains, you might want to use a respirator. This one's rated for ammonia, so it's very strong, and you can buy those at most of your hardware or wood finishing supply houses. As far as gloves are concerned, I tend to use the nitrile gloves most often because they are a little bit more durable than the surgical style gloves, although these are very good too. I use them a lot, but not quite as often as these, because these are a lot more durable and more resistant to chemicals. When I do some really heavy work, then I'll use these black rubber gloves, which are basically gloves that you use for washing your dishes, so they're the heaviest. But these work good as these particular American Red Cross gloves, the examination gloves, are really good because they act like a second skin. So if you're doing work like sanding, which causes a lot of sawdust and a lot of debris from the sandpaper itself, rather than getting that on your hands, or even getting splinters and or even getting splinters on your hands, this helps prevent that. It acts like a second skin. Also, your eye protection is very important. You only have one set of eyes, so you need to make sure they're protected. And there's a lot of flying particles and so forth that can get into your eyes, so you want to protect your eyes. As I mentioned before, I've got these glue brushes that I use. In addition to those, I've got glue syringes that I use, and these are for injecting into very small cracks and crevices. And when you're dealing with clock cases are small, so you have these little syringes that can squirt a little glue in when you need it. And then I also have this larger, more powerful one for larger applications. You never want to use a hammer, but if you have to use something, it's better to use a rubber mallet like this, or if you have a small hammer like this that has a plastic end, so you don't want metal hitting metal unless you're hitting a nail. Otherwise, if you're trying to tap something into place, better to use something that's plastic or made of rubber.